And on this Energy Facts Chats, we're glad to get together again with myself, JP Warren, and Mike Umbro, where we're catching up and we're setting the stage for the next several episodes. We're talking about the positive impacts of domestic production has versus importing oil from foreign countries. And we're also, I guess, talking about energy realities on the realities of consuming barrels of oil. And it's got to come from somewhere, so might as well have it come from the States. What else, Mike?
That's right. And you asked me, what people are talking about in California. Are they worried about the prices?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a topic of conversation? We get into a little barbershop talk, and absolutely, it all ties into, what are the benefits of local production, and what are the externalities and the costs of NIMBYism and just pretending like out of sight, out of mind. And there's a lot of flaws in that approach. So it was fun.
And so if you want to hear what happened around the barbershop, tune into this episode and let us know what you think. And welcome to another Energy Facts Chats, episode 12. And we apologize that it's that we've taken such a break. My name is JP Warren, and I'm recording this from Houston, Texas. And we got my brother from the West Coast, mother, Mike Umbro, on California time right now. So I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in. I know we haven't put one of these out there in a little bit, but you've been working on some things on the forefront on Californians for Energy and Science, and I've been doing some stuff as well as creating those fun fictional dystopian future stories. Setting
I
up
like those
too, and also doing that little book tour for the Energy for Everyone children's book that I wrote. If you haven't checked that out, you can find that on Amazon. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in on this, and we are proud to say that we will hold each other more accountable to put these out regularly, because I know that we enjoy it. I love learning about it. I love catching up with you, Mike, obviously, and I love the conversations we're having. It's look, there's a lot of places out there you can go out and kind of get the macro geopolitical, barrels per consumption, forecast model, all that stuff. But what we're trying to do here, we're trying to kind of we're trying to bridge the energy expectations with energy realities.
There it is. I like that. I was waiting for you to put the line in there. That's the tagline right there.
It's called a build-up, buddy. It's like when they say the movie name in the movie. So that's the goal of this, and I'm excited to talk about. Honestly, today I'm going to be honest. I don't really know what we're talking about. That's kind of I kind of like it that way, because this isn't just for energy professionals. This is for everybody to kind of tune in and to learn. I've learned a lot, and if you had, where, for example, where the electricity is generated, how much of each source is to create. So go back, check out the previous episodes, and we're about to dive into. What are we diving into today, Mike? I have no idea.
Well, I think it's you mentioned what you've been working on and some of your writings and kind of looking ahead at what does the future hold. I think there's a lot of unknown across the country, across the world, as we're seeing energy systems disrupted more than they're being efficiently managed.
Well, let's talk about this. So when we're recording this is March 24th, 2023.
March 24th.
Okay,
Yep.
So give us a state of the union where we're at today and kind of what you're seeing, and kind of let's discuss what we're going to talk about today. So let's start it off.
Yeah, and talking about it at the high level, we're hearing about countries wanting to mandate certain forms of gasoline consumption, banning ICE vehicles and mandating electric vehicles. You hear about, states having their own energy initiatives and policies. And in particular in California, there is a full 100% court press to keep California oil off of the market in favor of foreign product that's driven by NIMBY policies. And I think that's representative of what we're seeing at the federal level as well, where we're seeing certain projects such as the Willow project in Alaska. We're going to give you 3 drilling pads, but we're not going to give you more because we're only going to give you a little bit to produce a field, which when you're a developer makes no sense, right? If I'm meeting the environmental quality standards of whatever state I'm in, I should be able to produce that resource to a full development phase. If it takes me 5 pads, it takes me 5 pads. If it takes me 10 pads, it takes me 10 pads. But I'm looking at it from a holistic manner. So that's kind of how I view it setting up.
So
Nationally, these
I guess
projects are happening, and locally, these projects are
so I guess
being stalled.
the expectation is, we're going to approve these, permits to drill. That's going to bring on, a lot more, barrels, domestic barrels online, and all that stuff. But the
Right.
realities is that's not really true, because the devil's in the details. You only do, punch 3 holes, and this infrastructure is not there. Is that correct?
Exactly. And if you're
Okay.
looking at it from a policy standpoint, if you're trying to do what's best for the environment, you're going to put together what's called a cost benefit analysis for whatever project you're looking at. And that can be at a project specific level. It can also be at a much broader, statewide or nationwide energy policy level. What are the full costs and benefits of where we're heading with policy?
Okay. Okay.
And what does that look like across the supply chain? So I just put together this deck.
So that was the transition. I was wondering where this cost benefit analysis is going. I was like,
Yeah,
where's
absolutely. That's the transition. If you're looking at it from, like I say, with the Willow project in Alaska, you had the Biden administration looking at ConocoPhillips and their project plans up in northern Alaska
Okay.
to develop a significant asset. And there's back and forth about, well, how many drilling pads can we have, and has ConocoPhillips met all the environmental standards? And they had. And then it got to this crescendo of, okay, ConocoPhillips has done all the necessary analysis to show how this will impact the environment.
Right.
We believe it to be a net good. It's going to create $45 billion of economic impact just in the state alone in Alaska. Massive project over 30 years. But there was still a reluctance to allow it to happen.
But
that is what fascinates me. Why does that happen?
But here's the deal, though. But I get what you're saying, and I understand why you're frustrated and all that stuff. But I'm going to take this because I started reflecting kind of the other day, and this is kind of the whole point of doing this. Like, I remember, before I got into the energy industry, I had no idea. So if I'm listening to you right now talking, I'm thinking, I'm like, well, you're talking about the economic benefits. You're talking about, jobs it'll create. You're talking about domestic. Well, we don't want it. I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't want you drilling oil wells in this pristine land, all that stuff. I don't want you to touch this. Talk to me about kind of why this is important on the energy reality side of it, on the environmental side of it, because a lot of people, in California, I would assume one of the main driving forces to stop oil and gas exploration production is, we don't want it in our yard. We don't. This is horrible for the environment. We don't want it, on our landscape, whatever, all that, right? However, talk to me about the environment impact of, I guess, that mentality, and I guess the realities of when this project is moving forward, on why that's from, I guess, our conversation, why that's better for the environment to produce energy locally versus import it from rogue nations.
Right. No, I think I think if you're an outsider looking in and saying, well, I don't want oil, period.
Right.
That's an ideal.
Right.
I think there has to be a moment of reckoning, at least with policymakers. They use stupid phrases like the adults in the room, but that's what has to happen. You've got to be very, very upfront with people and say, look, the world is consuming 102 million barrels a day, whatever it is. It's somewhere north of 100 million barrels a day. China's reopening. We've been managing the balance of oil stocks by releasing from petroleum reserves, releasing from inventories. There's a lot of unknown in how big those adjustments are on the macro level, right? So if we just accept that, then we need to share with people, in my case in California, well, we're consuming north of 1.5 million barrels every day. So basically 1.5% of the global market is coming to California or being consumed in California. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. So I think there has to be some basic recognition by policymakers, by
of realities,
of just reality, exactly how you set it up, the energy reality versus the expectation that we can get to zero. And that, I have it in my notes, is false advertising. And I think that's what the common person, if they were listening to this show, needs to understand. We want to lift the curtain on this false advertisement that says you can get to zero consumption.
And that's a great point. Like I don't want anyone to watch this and thinking that, we're anti this type of energy or they, pro this, anti. I'm an energy maximalist. I think we've had this conversation before. However, it's, in this world, I mean, when it comes to energy, it's so important. I mean, you're seeing wars being fought over it. You're seeing people starve. You're seeing people freeze. In first world countries freeze about this. So we're not trying to discourage other means of energy creation, energy, whatever. Energy can't be created, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's, alternative energies or deemed renewables. We're just trying to expose, I guess, the realities on whether that's, hey, where are you sourcing your rare earth materials? How much? What are you doing with the turbines after it's done? How much environmental impact is this barrel of oil that you're getting from Iran versus you're getting from the States?
Exactly.
Naturally. So we're not anti anything. We're more anything pro, but we're just trying to, I guess, expose the realities. I mean, right now, I mean, people don't talk about the recycling of wind turbines or batteries, but that's a major issue. And that's a major, I mean, we're saving today and what is it? We're saving today and dooming tomorrow or something like that. So
yeah, exactly. And there's an opportunity. The thing that I'm most excited about is there's a place to meet in the middle when it comes specifically to phasing out oil. Because I can say to somebody, not only is it better for the environment to produce it domestically in California, in our case, but you can take 450 million barrels off of the California market, and I'm still producing in California because the annual consumption is 600 million barrels a year going back 40 years, right? And California is only producing 150 million of those barrels now. So you can wipe out 75% of the oil demand and still have a thriving, or I guess the term I should use is a sustainable domestic oil and gas industry.
Okay.
And it's better for the environment.
Okay. All right. So now let's get back to what we're talking about kind of the state of where we're at right now. And I think that was a good tangent that we just went on, but we were talking about up in Alaska, and also, you were talking about the jobs and the economic impact, which is very important right now, I guess, in the state of the world right now, in the state of the United States is very important right now. But also, I guess on the other side of it, there's the environmental side of it, and that's kind of what we talked about. So, all right, so let's keep marching forward to the holistic. Is that what we're talking about? The holistic cost?
No, we're right on topic. I think, mentioning Alaska is a great way to bring it together, because that Alaska project, what most people across the country will not have an appreciation for, 44% of Alaskan crude over the last, 3-4 years comes to the California market. So we're debating, can we drill in the Arctic, in Alaska, to send half of it down to California in the San Joaquin Valley? You look at the pictures of my lease, it looks like a desert waste. It looks like the moon. There's nothing there. Yeah. It's just dry dirt.
That's got to be very frustrating when the solution is right there, and it's not only being ignored, but it's also being attacked. I want to kind of talk to, give me a kind of a current, you and I haven't talked in a little bit, and that's kind of very unfortunate. I always love catching up with you. But the last time we talked, we got interrupted, but I think that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I want to hear kind of about the I guess, the current conversations going on in California right now. I think the last episode 10 we put out, it was people were actually waking up and getting their mail in, and they're opening it up, and it's like, oh my God, this is my bill,
$800 bill.
You talked 300% more.
Everybody is talking about it.
What are they saying? What's the general consensus? What's the vibe you're hearing from your friends? What are you overhearing? What about the energy issues right now in California?
People are pissed off. People are totally pissed off, and they don't.
At who? They don't. At who?
Well, that's the thing. They don't know who to be mad about, and they don't care what they hear coming out of Sacramento. They do not believe a word coming out of Governor Newsom's mouth. They do not believe any of the nonsense about we're transitioning. And this is average people. When I'm talking to my, if I'm getting a sandwich or whatever, I don't even go out and get sandwiches anymore. It's too expensive. But if I got my hair cut and I was talking to the barber,
Okay.
Right. That's the most recent. This is probably barbershop talk, right? So he says, well, what are you getting? I'm like, I need a haircut. I'm giving a presentation in Bakersfield. He goes, well, what are you giving a talk about? And I don't sugarcoat it. I'm giving a talk about the benefits of oil and gas in California. I don't just, I don't shy away. I'm like, this is my opportunity.
Oh, so I have a different approach. So keep talking. I'm gonna tell you my approach.
Yeah, but anyway, so this he starts saying, well, man, it's just so ridiculous what's going on right now. I can't afford to drive, to work. He drives 25 minutes from another part of San Diego to where he's cutting hair, and then the woman across that's doing another person's hair starts going, she says, well, I can't afford to put the heater on anymore. I'm wearing blankets, and in the summer, she goes, I'm not gonna, it gets hot, I'm not even gonna put my little window unit AC on. And then it spirals into talk about the food pricing, and people understand that energy is a factor here. They don't need to be energy experts to know that like what you're telling me in Sacramento and DC about we don't need gasoline, or we don't need natural gas, or we don't need fossil fuels is bogus. It's baloney. We need it. And everybody knows it. So that's kind of the vibe in San Diego. Like anywhere you go, people are talking about
question. If this was, obviously this is kind of a BS question, just because it's whatever. But if this was 8 months ago, a year ago, do you think the same conversations would have been happening?
No, they're directly related to the price increases over the past, I'd call it 3 years. And what's the conversation just happens more frequently.
And what's funny is we were talking to our German geologist buddy, Yannick, and we were talking to him, and what you were just describing about, I'm not gonna put my heater on, I can't put my AC on, I'm bundled up, that is exactly what he was talking about, what's going on in Germany right now at universities. Right. He's like, I got friends for those that didn't check it out, check out the episode we had Yannick, who's our German, my German friend now. He was talking to us that, his friends in universities and colleges in Germany, there's no natural gas to heat the buildings. So they are bundled up in a first world country, sitting in class, freezing their asses off.
Right.
And that is through poor energy policy.
And it happened to be a warm winter there.
Yes.
So now, that's the thing that is concerning most, because this is not something that we need to hope for good weather. That's not a sustainable energy policy. And it's not going to be good weather every year. It's ridiculous. Look at San Diego. The last time we talked a couple of months ago, we weren't really even talking about the rain. Maybe it just started. Yeah. It's basically been raining ever since. Yeah. And you would not think that in California. And now, now everybody's heating their homes more with natural gas and getting burned on the rates.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of tweets lately. I've been seeing a lot of conversations lately, and it still seems like the same blame, the same attack. Is that getting old out there about it's the oil companies that are price gouging, let's tag Is that I keep seeing the exact same rhetoric, but the thing is, though, if I'm sitting there and you keep on blaming the same person, I'd eventually want to say, Mike, cut the shit. Like, what's really happening? I guess, how is that falling? I guess with in your circles, the population, and again, your barbershop conversations.
Yeah, I think they want change. They want domestic energy production. When I tell people in San Diego that the whole west side of the Central Valley of California is one massive oil field, they're shocked because they have no idea. They have no idea that exists. And so, I don't talk to that many people. So you can't change one person at a time. You got to reach tens of thousands, then million. There's 39 million people in this state. So I think, sadly, the mainstream media has to start covering it and start asking questions. And that will only happen as the prices get to a hysterical point. When everybody calling into their radio station is asking why.
Are you seeing any of this, the boomerang occur?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to like the media and the San Diego Tribune or whatever article.
Yes, you are seeing it. You are seeing people start covering the meetings at the Public Utility Commission, and today was a a note by one of the writers that said 30 of the 39 people there at the PUC hearing did not want San Diego Gas and Electric to raise rates. I don't know who the 9 people are that showed up that said they were in favor of higher rates. I would imagine they were planted there by the utility company. But yeah, you're starting
fake mustaches.
Yeah, and so you're starting to see articles, talking about not only are the rates going up, but why are they going up? Who's in favor of them? Who's not in favor of them? And I believe, that's getting back to looking at a cost benefit analysis. We as an industry have to be ready for the crescendo of the boomerang. And it's going to happen when it's $10 gasoline, or it's going to happen when the blackouts hit. It has to get worse. It has to break.
What do you mean? What do you mean be ready? If I'm sitting here and I'm whatever, I'm in the oil and gas industry, and I was like, what do you mean be ready?
Well, I mean, like this, like have a presentation together so that if a news outlet comes and reaches out to you, you can have facts, figures, images showing if you get it from South America and Latin America, it's worse for the environment. It's absolutely worse for the environment.
How about
because
this?
You're getting
How
it
about
out
this?
of the Amazon,
how about
it's
this?
high priced.
How about instead of changing that, when you get it out, or how about instead of if you get it out of the Amazon, how about when you get it out? Because that's happening.
Every
it's not
day.
a question of if. It's not a question of if. It's when.
Right. Or right now, every day. Now Iraq overtook Ecuador to be the number one source of foreign crude into California in 2022. 68 million barrels. I don't know what that is a day. It's probably 180,000, 200,000 barrels a day. So it's happening every day. And oh, by the way, Iraq is one of the most violent offenders when it comes to wasteful flared gas.
Is that
they flare more gas than every other country other than Russia?
What was your stat? You said they flare 4 times as much per
gas
year
in one year as the entire state of California produces.
But yet that's where you're going to get your groceries.
Right. And now they probably flare 5 to 6 times given the production profile dropping in California. And as it drops, demand is inelastic, so we get it from somewhere else. As it drops, we get it from more carbon intense, more methane intense fields.
So you're dropping this word crescendo a lot. Love it. Keep it up. I dig that. When this crescendo happens, you're talking about data, stats, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like what kind of data? What kind of stats? Like what where should people start looking internally or externally and kind of showing, I guess, the case for domestic production? What's important?
So the important characteristics, number one, carbon intensity and greenhouse gas emissions. That's a basic metric that is understood across industries. How many greenhouse gases are you putting into the air in terms of typically million metric tons of CO2 equivalent? And then you can break that down. You'll see that broken down by methane and carbon.
And you can also, can you compare that apples to apples with foreign?
Yeah. So you go look at your state profile through the EIA, and then you can go look at international profiles through the International Energy IEA.
Okay.
And so they have country by country specific. So you can look at that first level. So in California, I look at the oil and gas upstream production complex. Okay. And on the upstream production side, we are responsible for about 12 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent in 2020. And to put that in perspective, the entire state of California had about 369 million tons of CO2 equivalent in the year. So upstream oil and gas production accounts for about 3% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the state. But we want to phase it out. And then, so that's why you look at, well, greenhouse gas emissions, if you're phasing it out in California, it has to come from somewhere else. And that is called environmental leakage. If the place you're getting it from is worse than what you could do it in California. Because obviously greenhouse gas emissions affect the global atmosphere, not
what is it? I'm trying to think of something clever, like I guess domestic ESG is exporting anti-ESG.
Yeah.
Whatever, something like that. I mean,
you're exporting your emissions is what you're doing.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right. And so that's very easy. If you look at Iraq as a country in 2020, their total CO2 emissions have been going up 164% since 1990. They ranked number
Oh,
2
wow.
in gas flared volumes behind only Russia, flaring 632 billion cubic feet in 2019. They have a 20% rise in cancer rates in the villages around Basra because they flare so much
Yep. The
that it's
children too.
poisoning the
The
children.
kids. Yeah.
The Iraqi oil minister has admitted the link between flaring and cancer rising. So, on a country by country versus California basis, you can definitively say the data points to crazy, insane emissions leakage. I don't even have the superlatives to say how bad that is
So
to
if I'm
be importing anything from Iraq.
so if I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this, I say, okay, well that's happening. Well, I don't want kids in in U.S. cities to get a cancer and all that stuff. Like, why is that different?
Beautiful. That's the thing, JP. I'm glad you're an environmentalist. California banned wasteful flaring in 1937. So you're exactly right.
37.
It just
Wow.
doesn't happen in California. When you look at the EIA data, you see a big 0 next to flared gas.
So okay, that's
One of very few states that show that. So you say that's exactly why you want to encourage production in California, because there is no flaring.
right.
And what is there, you will see flares when refineries get upset. So it's not bulletproof.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You will see small flares in California, but they have 0 impact to the community when you compare it to what's happening in Iraq. It's
So I'll
not
tell you
even
what.
close.
Let's we're getting close to 30 minutes
Yeah,
right here. I know.
yeah. That's a good
yeah.
place to leave it. I mean, we can
No.
dig into data the next time.
Well, here's the deal. I think the next time we get together, let's dive into that presentation you're putting together right now. And if you want to reach out to Mike, you can contact him.
Yep.
Find him on LinkedIn, and also check out Californians for Energy and Science. What they're trying to do is provide actual environmental data, actual economic, I guess, data, and how it affects different whether it's communities throughout the state. But definitely check it out there.
Together the energy facts, JP.
But here's the deal, though. People are saying, well, it's California. Why do I care about what's happening out there? This and that. Da, da, da. Well, because things spread. And
Right.
I remember after we had one episode, I think there was a tweet about the governor stopping the sale of ice engines.
Yeah, 2035.
Yeah, and then people thinking, well, why do I care about that? That's California, not here. Well, because New Jersey, about 2 weeks after that, announced the same thing. Because
Right.
so it does matter. It does matter, especially if poor energy policy spreads, and the only people that it affects isn't the politicians. It's the everyday consumers like you and me out there. So that's kind of the point of this. We don't want energy prices to skyrocket. We don't want the environment to turn to shit. We want to protect it. We want to do things in a responsible way. So that's
right.
kind of what we're talking about here. So Mike, let's wrap this up, man. You got that meeting to attend.
Well said,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And next time we're going to kind of dive into some more data and details. But don't worry, I'm not a data or details guy, so we're going to make it fun for you. So thank you everyone for tuning in to Energy Fact Checks. And if you dig this, send it out, share it. Spread the love, and we appreciate you tuning in. You got anything, Mike, for us?
No, I love it. I'm excited. Absolutely. I hope everybody learns from what we're doing. I think they will.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.